Okay, guys, it's Dr. Ryan, and today we have Josh. Josh has been a member of the clinic for, almost 3 years now, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his experience working with me and Summa Up. So, Josh, why don't you take a few minutes to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, some of your hobbies, what your family life's like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm pushing 40, just turned 39. I'm an attorney in a boutique labor and employment defense firm. So pretty high pressure job, a number of hours, lots of travel, pretty significant stress load. Family life, I'm lucky, married happily, just over 10 years. We have two beautiful kids, 4-year-old boy and almost a 10-month-old girl. So that keeps us pretty busy as well. And then as far as hobbies, I've been fortunate to kind of keep up with things like mountain biking, snowboarding, and then I've stayed in the gym since college.
Very cool. Very cool. So, very busy life, children, a wife, busy lawyer, and lots of really interesting hobbies. Snowboarding's pretty fun. I'm a fan of it over skiing just because of the propensity for ACL tears. So I'm really happy you choose that instead.
Yeah.
Okay, so Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about what it was like before you joined the clinic, and let's try to focus primarily on how you felt in terms of your body, your physique, your mentation, and your overall health.
Kind of thinking about the call coming up, how best could I describe what I was facing then? Work was going pretty well. My family was going pretty well, but I felt like I was walking towards a cliff, I think is if I'm being honest about what I was dealing with. And a wake up call for me, and one of these things where I have to make a change in my life. I was in my basement gym, probably 7 p.m., got home, made dinner, put things away, was getting my workout in. And this is not an exaggeration. I'm slapping myself in the face for energy to get, that second wind. And that had become kind of a normal thing for me of doing something like that just to get going, to push through, a 45-minute workout that night. That was probably the biggest thing for me, was just my personal energy reserves. I was just grinding to go. My sleep was horrible. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say I was getting 2 to 3 hours of sleep interrupted per night. And, where that impacted maybe at work would be, trying to get a quiet place to close my eyes for 30 minutes midday just to recharge and, push myself through my next 5, 6, 7 hours of the day. So it just felt like I was running on reserves all the time.
Yeah, this whole idea of running on fumes is something that I hear a lot from prospective patients. The fact that, they just feel drained at the end of the day, and yet they still have activities they need to pursue, particularly family things, family activities, maybe spending time with their children or engaged in their children's sports, right? And it makes them very unhappy to not have, as you mentioned, the personal energy reserves to get into that. So that's very, very powerful. It's really interesting, to really good description of what you were going through. So you kind of talked about how it affected you personally. Let's talk a little bit about how this state affected you in terms of your career as a lawyer.
I think there I was fortunate enough that I was pushing through, taking a step back, again, thinking about it. I don't think I was negatively impacted. I was
Mhm.
winning. I was getting my work done.
Mhm.
What I've found myself lately, though, if I'm looking back and seeing where my practice is now,
Mhm.
my efficiencies are night and day different. Where I think it's probably my level of focus and attention to detail, and I'm catching smaller things early that I'm spinning off to others that can do the work that I'm not doing it myself. So I've created more efficiencies internally that have allowed me to focus on the bigger things, most likely actually reduce my personal workload in the office.
Yeah, I mean, delegation is so important, and really focusing on those A-level tasks, those like crucial, essential tasks that you need to do that will really, contribute to the bottom line of your business is such a key item. And a lot of us, we recognize what those tasks are, but we're so consumed, you know, by the other tasks and don't have the energy reserves to either delegate or find a more efficient way to do it, that it's very frustrating. Okay, why don't we transition a little more to your relationships with your family, your friends, your colleagues? How did this particular state affect that?
Probably much the same. I had a good relationship with family, a house, at my home, life was good.
Hmm.
But some of the things that suffered, a lot of my friends from growing up, they're out of state.
Hmm.
So just having I guess, I don't know if it's the energy or focus or drive to say, I'm going to make this visit happen. I've got that back. Or, you know what, Saturday morning, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m., drive the 3 hours to the snowboard hill, snowboard all day and come home Saturday night. So I'm home Sunday with the family. I do that now. Tomorrow I'm flying to Atlanta to visit one of my good high school friends and their family, bringing
Wow.
my family for a short weekend. February I was in Park City, Utah. We were in Key West. We're just making it happen. I have a focus on, that type of maintaining those personal connections, not just via phone call, not just via Zoom, but getting on a plane and going there. And, I don't know if I'd have that energy level to do that during the weekend. And, I'll be in the office 7 a.m. Monday.
That's amazing, because life doesn't, a lot of life occurs outside of the work week, right? And missing out on those rich experiences would be really sad. And I'm really happy that you're taking advantage of it. But prior to joining the clinic, that was perhaps a concern that your life was kind of passing you by. Okay. Okay. Now you kind of alluded to the fact that I guess there was an inciting event. The event was that you were working out in your home gym and you had to slap yourself awake. Was that the event that finally made you seek treatment, or was there something else that made you say, hey, I need to do something about this?
I think it was just really a culmination of how long can I continue this? Long ago, just after high school, I drove myself really, really thin with work and college. Back then I unloaded UPS trucks. I was at
Hmm.
UPS at 4 a.m., something like that. I was in school all day, and then I picked up a side gig where I, was working until 10 p.m. And, I reached that cliff and everything kind of imploded. And I was feeling like, am I going through that again?
Hmm.
And I can't let that happen because now I have a son, I have a wife, I have a real career. I need to fix this. And so, yeah, that might be the physical or the one thing that happened, but it was more that mental sense of what's down the road.
Okay. So you're at the situation where you recognize you have a significant problem and you need to correct it. So how did you actually find out about myself and Summa Up? Was it an ad, or was it a referral? What was it specifically?
I think it was just starting general online research. I made some initial small modifications, diet, trying to work on things that might help with the sleep a little bit. Eliminated alcohol use was one thing that I kept up for a long time. But then it was just, there's got to be something more here, and let's seek some actual medical advice. And I think I probably read a number of different advertisements, went on a number of different sites. And I think what resonated with me was just your personal story as well. It's like talking to the physician that practices what they preach appealed to me. Much like I hear people say, anybody that's dealing with a financial advisor, you kind of want to know that person's, financially secure as well. So I think that really resonated with me, and is one of the reasons that I think I reached out to you directly.
I mean, I think it's really important to get with a professional or an advisor or a consultant that quote unquote eats their own cooking. The fact that I've been on hormonal optimization therapy is for many, many years, ever since my 20s, was very useful to me in that it helped me better understand what my patients were going through and some of the issues and obstacles they may have in starting up therapy. And maybe be more, in my mind, a more compassionate provider. But I'm glad that you recognize that. So that kind of gets to my next question, some of the obstacles you needed to overcome. So what were some specific obstacles that you needed to overcome, in deciding between providers or even making the decision? Were there any obstacles? You're kind of like, I'm fed up. Let's just do something.
Yeah, I don't think there was. When it was time to kind of pull the trigger, I suppose it all fit, it all worked out. I wouldn't say that there's an obstacle that came up, and especially as user friendly as your system is,
Mm.
how was there an obstacle?
Mm.
Scheduling was a breeze. It just, it wasn't difficult. It was seamless. So I don't really think I had an obstacle in my way.
Very good. Well, I mean, we do try to be very patient, client focused, and we try to make things as easy as possible. And again, I'm glad you recognize that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the changes you experienced after you joined the clinic, after you're on therapy, after you started taking some of the supplements, after you started, engaging some of the practices. What changes did you notice in your body and overall health over time?
Yeah, I mean, I could say, where I am today, it's really easy to just pull out some just black and white numbers and differences. When I started with you, I was lean. I had good muscularity. I weighed 150 pounds. I'm 176, 177 today.
Wow.
Low body fat. I was a size 40 suit. Thanks to you, I had to throw all my suits away. I'm a 42 today. Okay. The one of the first changes that happened physically where, things kind of gradually happen. So you're not seeing it yourself, but all of a sudden my suit pants aren't fitting me. I had to get the hem lowered. Why? Because I gained more muscle in my legs and glutes and it lifted the pant up. So as things like that, but it's been a while now that I've been kind of at this level, but when I had hit that like 6 or 7, 8 month mark, maybe even a year-ish, people that I hadn't seen in a while, especially because of COVID, gym buddies especially, walk up to them and they're just floored. Like, who are you? I mean, there was multiple times where that was the reaction of like, just, oh my God, what are you doing? And, I told them, I'm with Summa Up.
Yeah. Well, I feel that there have been a few referrals, and I appreciate that. And I think all of my patients, on some level, are an embodiment of the care they receive and the choices they make, and so are kind of like a walking advertisement for the clinic. And you certainly are one of them. And so you kind of talked about those changes you noticed in your body, but what about some of the changes you saw in your career? You did already talk about how you're now able to focus on more high level, more tasks that are meaningful to the law practice. What else did you notice in terms of your career after joining the clinic?
I have a really good balance right now, and I think it's because of what I'm able to do. There's some just, my day-to-day schedule I've changed pretty drastically. Before, I've always been an early riser, but I was getting to the office first and then doing the thing, coming home, working out. It's flipped now. I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm down in the basement gym. I'm getting ready. I'm in the office by 7:30. But now I'm able to get home 6:30 a lot of nights and have that family time versus trying to, just get everything done so I can get down to the gym to get the workout in. So my balance has shifted where I think I have a much more healthy balance between work and family and everything. And when I'm at work, sure, do you still have those days where you have that afternoon slump? Yes. Is it every day like it used to be? No. Is it so bad that I feel like I can't push through it and function through it? No. Do I have a lot of days where I feel pretty energetic throughout the entire workday? Yes. Especially if I'm doing something where I'm, not just at my desk that day and I have some movement. And then again, the focus and the delegation of tasks, and it's the little things like just remembering to do the calendar reminder of the quick phone call you just got before you jump off on another task. It's these tiny little incremental things that as I look at everything that I'm doing, it has a compound effect, right? So it's very positive.
Oh yeah, so it's incremental things over time. That 1% increase in your effort and your ability, that just leads to tremendous changes over time if you have a long enough timeline. To the Japanese concept of Kaizen that Toyota took to the moon, I guess. Just continual improvement. But I'm glad you're able to implement that, because in many cases, particularly my patients who just start with me, they don't even have the energy to just to stay at where they're at, right? It almost seems like they're using all their energy reserves just to keep their head above water, metaphorically. Okay, well, good. So we talked a little bit about the changes you saw in your career. What about the changes you saw in your relationships with your family, your friends, your colleagues? Now, you did notice you already had a very good family situation, but has it improved? And you did kind of allude to the fact that you are able to spend more time with your friends, but what else did you notice?
There's a lot more quality time. So, when you have the energy base, There's more weekend days where even if I have a chore that I'm doing, I get something done in the morning, work for a little bit, catch up on things, and then, turn to my 4-year-old son, hey bud, let's get packed up and go to the pool. And you're running out and using that, the hour or two that you have before dinner to go and do something like that. Hey, let's pack up and take the dog for a walk, get the stroller out and do that. Those small things that are very, very easy to miss, but how meaningful is it when you look back? When I look back 10 years down the road, those hours or 2-hour sessions at the pool or the park, what it might be with my son and my daughter, to have that time, again, I think is a tremendous improvement that, I don't know, looking back 3 years ago, how I would have dealt with, 2 or 3 nights in a row of my, 10-month-old daughter with sleep progression. And because of that, missing that much, I would have been a roadblock on Saturday. Now I've got those reserves and I'm able to get it back, that you are just pushing through it. So I think that's been the victory there, is those moments that would have been missed are not missed.
Well, I think that's really powerful, because it's the time that you spend with your children, particularly when they are, in their younger years, elementary school, beyond, before they hit puberty, that makes such a huge difference in how they turn out in life, right? You're able to impart a lot of knowledge, and it's a two-way street. They're also going to look back at those experiences they had with their dad and be like, man, that was just such a great time at the pool. I really, really enjoyed it when he and I were able to go and swim. It was just a very positive memory I think about. So, that's wonderful that you're able to create those things. Okay, so we talked about some of the changes you noticed in your career and your physique, with your family. Were there any other benefits that came from working with myself and Summa Up?
I think overall, it's, you see positive change, and that puts momentum behind you, and those changes beget new changes and new changes and new improvements. And my focus. So yeah, I turned 39, this month. So this is my 40th year. And my mindset is what do I want the next 25 to look like? What do I want who am I at age 65? What things do I need to do now to get me there? And so, there's been just much more, improvement, I think, in really now watching some of the smaller things in my diet, watching, some small things here and there throughout that I just think would have been missed, because you're focused on such larger problems. It's smaller things like going through the blood work with you. Oh, Josh, this is a little out of whack. Josh, you're probably eating too much cheese. Yeah, you're right, doctor. I don't really need that. Focus on these things, and then looking for those solutions or those, fixes that are going to be positive, so that you're not actually, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, because I've just replaced it with something I actually like even more. Instead of having, ice cream at night, it's fruit cut up and doing a Greek yogurt parfait. To put that in action, you have to think about it. So I think there's just a lot of those type of things that have all kind of are falling into line.
Yeah, and I think you touched upon something really important. It's not just, how your mental state, your physical state. It's also the biomarkers that we try to really optimize so that we can improve your longevity, right? And really reduce the risk of, developing those chronic illnesses, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, cancer, kidney disease. If you do the right things, if you eat the right foods, you take the right supplements, if you check your labs regularly and optimize those values, your lipid panel, hemoglobin A1C, your homocysteine, your hormonal levels, there's a large group of individuals in the anti-aging, longevity, functional medicine community that feel that our endpoint is, 120, 130, 140, 150, not just getting there, but getting there in excellent health. And that's my goal for all my patients. Okay, so just to end things, what would you tell someone who's watching this now and is uncertain about joining the clinic?
I think the only thing I can say is just boil it down, and it works. I mean, that's it. It works. So, if you have goals and you do this and you follow through and you do the work, it works, period.
Well, Josh, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to tell us a little bit about your experience. And I really thank you being a patient.
Thanks, Doc. Absolutely.